Hi, my name is Victoria Lyon, and this is my second speech for oral communications. Here's my student ID. I have 8 adults present. Here's a little blast from your past. Does anyone remember this commercial? No? What about the gum?
Yes.
How many of you chew gum on a daily basis?
I sure do.
I do too. And I may not remember the commercial, but I obviously remember the gum. And I chew gum pretty much on a daily basis. Today I will explain to you the history of chewing gum. I will explain how chewing gum was first invented and the transformations that took place over the years. According to assortment.com, chewing gum is the oldest known candy in the world. Prehistoric people actually chewed on tree resin for pure enjoyment. Doesn't sound very enjoyable, does it? But they did. Ancient Greeks also chewed on resin to help clean their teeth and freshen their breath. Early settlers would use tree sap and beeswax as their chewing gum. And Indians chewed on tree sap or chicle. It's a milky latex that's from the sapodilla tree. In 1871, Thomas Adams started making gum out of his home and selling it to local pharmacies. He actually had so many orders and was so busy that he patented and made the gumball machine. And this helped him keep up with all of his business and all of his orders. He tried adding licorice flavor to the gum, and he called it Blackjack. He sold it in sticks, and the public went crazy over it. In 1880, Henry Fleer was the first to cover the chicle with a sugary white coating, and he called it Chiclets. I remember those.
Yeah.
Up until this time, gum had little or no flavor. John Colgan was a pharmacist that added sugar to the gum, and we haven't looked back since. This led the way for many different kinds, flavors, brands. There's actually been hundreds over the last 100 so years. In 1884, 2 brothers called the Curtis brothers were the first in history to actually manufacture and sell gum on a large basis. They sold it for 1 penny for 2 pieces. Don't we wish it was that cheap nowadays?
Yeah, really.
They actually added paraffin flavoring to their gum. They opened the first major manufacturing plant, as I mentioned, called the Curtis Gum Factory. According to ChewingGumFacts.com, William Wrigley Jr. founded Wrigley Chewing Gum in 1891. 2 years later, they produced Juicy Fruit. You all remember this. And they also produced Double Mint. That was 23 years later. So those have actually been around for quite a few years. Frank Fleer invented the first bubble gum. It did not take off because it was too sticky. People just did not enjoy it. Doctors actually recommended not to chew it because they thought your intestines would stick together. But in 1928, his accountant, Fleer's accountant, actually was testing a new rubber product and accidentally found a bubble gum that was not as sticky, and they called it Double Bubble. The reason it's pink is because that was the only type of food coloring that they could find in the factory. No one thought to change it, so it's always been pink. In 1951, the Topps company started adding gum to their baseball packs, and this made gum even more popular. Sugarless gum was produced in 1950 by a dentist called Dr. Preturelis. He later sold it to Wrigley and they called it Blammo. I don't remember that. It was called Blammo, but it became the first dentist-approved gum in history. Today, gum is still as popular as ever. The average American chews over 300 pieces a year. That would be a lot, I'm sorry. 300 pieces a year. Over $2 billion of gum is sold in the U.S. alone, mostly between Halloween and Christmas. Gum today is made of many things, including corn syrup, flavoring, there's sugars, there's sugar substitutes, even nicotine. So there's quite a few different flavors and ingredients out there nowadays. It's come a long way from resin. In conclusion, gum has been chewed since prehistoric times. Although it has gone through changes, it is still enjoyed by many. And today I've explained to you how chewing gum was first invented and the transformations that took place over the years. Would anyone like a piece of gum?
Sure.